Well, hello everyone. This is my 1998 JCB 208s. Now, this was a unit they used to build, or they still do build, in Europe and other countries. But for some reason, when they imported it into the United States, they didn't call it the 1CX, which is what it is in other places. They called it the 208s. So that's what this is. It's a 1CX, but it's the US version. Now this is a 98, and I bought this used, of course, but it did a great job for me. I bought it to do irrigation lines. We're starting a pecan orchard, and I needed to dig a ton of irrigation lines, and I didn't want to use a trencher or something like that. I really wanted something that was like a multi-purpose tool, so I bought this, and it did a great job. I mean, I trenched, man, thousands. I don't even know how much I trenched. I trenched a lot of lines. I didn't want to go too deep. I usually did about 6 inches to a foot deep just to get the lines in the ground, and I did great. But so this is the video. I did have it sitting in the barn, and it wasn't used for a long time, and then I had a hard time cranking it afterwards, so I did some videos where you guys helped me with and diagnosed it and found that it was a clogged up fuel injector pumps. So I rebuilt the fuel injector pump in this unit, and it's working great now. And I just recently put in a new ignition switch because the ignition switch went bad. I went through the wiring, cleaned it up, taped off the things that aren't being used, put the switches back in that it needed to have in there, and it's been doing great. Let's go ahead and crank it up. So here's the new ignition switch I put in. Cranks up fine. Again, these are, they called them the Mini Masters or the Work Masters. Basically, it's a skid steer chassis, and you're lifted up some, so you've got a backhoe on the back and a loader on the front. So basically, it's a really small backhoe loader, really, built on a skid steer platform. This is the backhoe, all curled up. It actually can move left or right. There's a little switch you pull, and you actually use the pulling force of the backhoe to just grab the ground a little bit, and you drag it left or right manually with the backhoe, and then you let go of the pin, and it locks into place on which side you want. I've always just used it on the side, but I had it in the middle for a little while. And here's that side, big black thing's the gas tank. Got a universal connection on the front, so you can put whatever implements you want on it. That's the bucket that came with it. That's the bucket I use on it. I've used it to move hay around and things like that, but most of the time it's just got the bucket on it. But that's pretty much it. There's the bucket. Top part's bent a little bit from pulling stuff, but that's pretty common. That can be bent up straight. Windshield needs to be cleaned up. And when I got it, it didn't have those little side. From what I saw, there's little grills that go on the side of there that you put on, but they didn't come with them, so it doesn't have them. And that's it running. Why don't we use it a little bit? Let me get the GoPro attached, and we'll get some videos of it in action. Well, the windshield's a little dirty, and this is a skid steer, so it's going to be a little bumpy. I'm going slow to keep the bumpiness down. test the backhoe out a little bit on this JCB. Like I said, I hadn't used it in a while and I wanted to make sure everything functions right. I'm gonna run it kind of low. Usually I can run it on a low idle and it digs just fine because we got pretty soft dirt. I'm not usually having to mess around with rock or anything out here. But you know, like I said, I just wanted to test it out, make sure all the functions are still working the way they used to. And so far it's just digging fine. A lot of the things I learned with this backhoe was to never fill the bucket up too full. You take too big of a bite and you just end up with a bucket full of dirt that won't come out. So never really had much of a problem though with digging out the dirt here at our property. You know, some people, especially in the area that I'm at, man, it's been a little while since I've used this thing, especially where we're at in here in Texas, this part of Texas. There's a lot of soft dirt, a lot of cropland, pasture land, but you start going west of Austin and you start getting into a lot harder dirt and a lot of rock. So, you know, if you're out there and you got a machine like this, smaller machine, not saying it won't do it. I mean, you know, if you got enough time, any of these machines will do it, but you may be looking for a bigger machine. But like I said, I did a lot of trenching with this machine, and it did great for what I needed it to do, and no problems at all when it comes to doing the backhoe. You know, a little bit of learning I had to do. Not the fastest machine in the world, but that's also because I've got it on a low. I keep this thing on a low idle. I don't like revving it up too much, especially when I'm not straining the machine very much. But once I start getting better with it and remembering how to use this thing, you know, you can start speeding up on it. Just come out here sometimes and dig worms for my son. He just loves fishing out here with the worms, and I mean, because the fish out here just go nuts for the worms. But we have some huge worms out here. I don't even know what they're called. They're probably some special kind of worm, but they are huge. And so I would get this machine out here sometimes and just go digging for him some worms. But like I said, I got a bigger backhoe now, so this one sat in the building for a really long time, in the shed that is. You know, which is really sad because this was a great little machine, and I used it for a lot of digging, a lot of trenching. There it goes, grabbed a little bit too big of a piece of dirt there, and the dirt will pile up and get stuck in there. But anyways, great little machine, especially if you're doing just, you know, some trench work like I'm doing here.